today we are going to start with a new topic, that is renewable resources. In last lecture we discussed about the different types of resources that we are using from the environment, that were the renewable and non-renewable resources. Today we are going to start with these renewable resources. So, renewable resources, we know that the resources which can be renewed or which can be regenerated within a certain limits and within a particular period. So, that are called as a renewable resources. Am I audible to all? Anyone?
Ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am. Okay.
So, these renewable resources that we use from the nature or from the environment are of different types, and they are categorized as, see, forest resources, water resources, mineral resources, food resources, energy resources, and land resources. These all are the renewable resources that we are using from the nature. And today we are going to discuss about the different functions of these resources, what are the problems associated with these resources, and what are the threats to these resources. Okay, so very first is a forest resources. And we know that the people who live in forest or near the forest knows the value of forest resources at first hand. Okay, because their lives, they are depend directly on these resources. However, the rest of us also derive the great benefits from the forest, but which we are really aware of. The water we use depends on the existence of forest. Katyayani, will you please mute? Okay, so the water we use depend on the existence of forest. The homes, the furnitures, the paper, all these things are coming from the wood, means from the forest. We use many medicines that are based on the forest, and we depend on plants for the oxygen they emit and to remove the carbon dioxide we breathe out from the air. So how we are dependent on the forest? Here you can see, before that, moving towards that, we should know the history about the forest resources. Once upon a time, when forest extended over a large tract of our country, and people have used forest in our country for thousands of years. And with the spread of agriculture, what happened? The forests were left in the patches, which were controlled mostly by tribal people. In the ancient period or in the past, it was like a continuous forest on the earth. But after the agriculture practices start, the forest it get divided into different patches because of that agriculture land, and that patches nowadays it is controlled by the tribal people living in that particular forest. They hunted animal, gathered the plants, and lived entirely on the forest resources, who the tribal peoples. And deforestation became a major concern in India when the Britishers they came to India. When a large amount of timber was extracted by them for building the ships, they started cutting the forest for building the ships, and this lead to develop the scientific forestry in India. So, at the one hand, they were cutting the forest for building the ships. On the other hand, they realized that there is a need of scientific forestry. So, they started making the or the creating reserved area or the protected forest, like that national parks, uh, again sanctuaries, like that. Okay, so it was the history about the use of forest. Now here you can see the total forest cover is given. Here 77% is non-forest area, again 2% or 2 to 3% is dense forest, moderately dense forest, open forest, and scrub. Scrub means the area where degraded forests are present or degraded forest land is present. So here are the numbers or the percentage of the forest is given which are present currently in India. And now what are the forest functions? What we are getting from this forest? We are using forest as a resources in different forms. See here, local use. Locally we are using food plants, fishing, hunting. We are using forest for the fruit plants, for fishing, hunting, fodder for the cattle that we are getting from the forest, fuel wood for cooking, poles for building homes in rural area, timber for construction, again fiber for rope strings, sericulture for silk, apiculture, medicinal plant, and many other investigation plants as a source of new modern drugs. Again market use. What is the market use of forest? Timber extraction for industrial purpose. Again fuel wood for fruit, gum, fiber sold in local markets as a source of income. Then water and watershed conservation, reducing the rate of surface runoff water. Because of the forest, surface runoff water uh, rate get reduced because soil or the roots of the plant, they they hold the soil and they prevent the soil from running off with the water, preventing flash floods and soil erosion, producing prolonged gradual runoff, thus preventing the drought condition. Again, soil conservation, holding soil, that is prevention of rain from directly washing soil away. Again, maintaining the soil nutrients, temperature regulation. Because of the forest there is a maintenance of temperature as plants absorb the solar heat, and again maintaining the CO2 level for plant growth. Plants absorb the CO2 and they releases oxygen, maintaining the local climatic conditions. So these are the functions which are performed by the forest at different levels. While performing the function, all these functions, there is a threat on forest resources. Nowadays, what is the threat for forest resources? Scientists estimate that India should ideally have 33% of its land under the forest. What the scientists are saying? They are saying that India should have at least 33% of its land under the forest. But today, at the current date, we have only 12% of our land which is under the forest. So, thus, we need not only to protect our existing forest but also to increase our forest cover. Means, with the protection of forest, we need some new forest or we need to increase our forest cover, plantation. Okay, this is the first threat, that the area which is under forest is very less in India. Again, second threat is deforestation and degradation. Deforestation means deforestation involves a loss of area covered by the forest. Means if the people are cutting the trees in the forest, that we call it as a deforestation. And what is degradation? Degradation on the other hand means it refers to the condition of a forest involving a reduction in its quality. Means the quality of forest, if it is getting reduced, then we are calling it as a degradation of forest. So deforestation means cutting of plants, and the degradation means reduction in the quality. These are the threats for the forest. So for that, what the realizing this, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, they formulated a national forest policy, and under that policy what they are doing in 1918,
in 1980.
Environment and Forest, Ministry of Environment and Forest, they formulated a national forest policy, and with that they added importance to the joint forest management. They uh, forms a committee, that is joint forest management, which works with the local people living in that village and the forest department and the local people togetherly, they are working for sustainable management or the sustainable development of our forest. Okay, so this is about the forest resource. Very first resource, that is forest resources. The use of what is forest resources, different uses of forest resources, and what are the threats to the forest resources. Now we are moving towards the next important resources, that is water resources. Water, even the fresh water evaporates due to sun energy. It forms the water vapor and is reformed in a clouds which fall to the earth as a rain. To that we call as a water cycle. This is the water cycle. Through the evaporation and transpiration, means the evaporation from the sea and different water bodies, and transpiration means the loss of water vapor from the trees or the plants, that is called as transpiration. So by means of evaporation and transpiration, the water vapor, they are moving towards the clouds by means of, they are forming the clouds by condensation, and after that there is a precipitation, rainfall, and again that water is getting mixed with the water bodies. So this is the water cycle or hydrological cycle. And most of the ecosystem, they are aquatic, because the 70% of earth's surface is under the water, it is under the water. All aquatic ecosystem, they used large number of all aquatic ecosystem are used by a large number of people for their daily needs, such as drinking purpose, washing, cooking, watering the plants and animals, for irrigation, for industrial use. Means aquatic ecosystems, they are getting used by different, for the different purposes. However, the worlds depend on limited quantity of fresh water. The fresh water quantity is very limited. Water covers 70% of earth's surface. We know that 70% of earth's surface is covered by water, and out of that 70% water, only 3% of water is fresh water. Only 3% of water is fresh water, and of this 2% is in the form of polar ice cap. Okay, out of this 3%, 2% is present as a polar ice caps, means which is of not any use, and only 1% is usable water. Only 1% is usable water in river, lakes, and different aquifers. So only a fraction of these, out of this 1%, only a fraction of these can be actually used. Okay, out of 70%, 3% is fresh water, and out of that 3%, 2% is in the form of ice cap, and only 1% is water, river, lake, and out of that 1%, only fraction is actually we are using. And at a global level, 70 out of that fraction, 70% of water is being used for agriculture, about 20% for industries, 8% for domestic purposes. And this varies in different countries according to the development of the countries. Industrialized countries use greater percentage for industry. In India, we uses 87% of its water for agriculture, 8% for industry, as India is agriculture country. So we use 87% for agriculture, 8% for industry, and 5% for domestic purpose. Okay, so this is about the percentage of water in the different form and how it is getting used globally. This is about the water resources. So now what are the threats or the aspects which are related with the water resources? Very first is the mismanagement and pollution of water resources. Mismanagement and pollution of water resources. With the growth of human population, there is an increased need for the larger amount of water to fulfill everyone's need. So today in many areas, this requirement cannot be met because of growing population. The mismanagement of water resources has meant an inequitable distribution of water. There is unequal distribution of water. How it is getting unequally distributed? Because some of us using more water than they need. In some areas, the people, they are getting water 24 hours, they are getting water, and even in few areas they are not getting water even for drinking purpose. So some use more water than they need, while others do not have access to clean water at all. So this is just because of the unequal distribution or mismanagement of water. And again, the pollution of water resources. The pollution of water resources, where there are the water resources which can be used for drinking purposes, they are getting polluted because of agricultural practices. Different types of fertilizers and pesticides, they are getting mixed in that water bodies, and they are contaminating that water bodies, and because of that contamination, that water cannot be used for the drinking purpose. So again, this is the mismanagement and pollution of water resources, which is leading to the unequal distribution of this resource. Next one is global climate change. Again, because of global climate change, change in the climate at the global level cause increase in air pollution. And because of this air pollution, there are different, it begins to start to affect our climate. In some region, global warming is occurring because of global climate change. If the climate is getting hot day by day, it will lead to the global warming, and it create different types of problems in that region. In other areas, again, global warming or the global climate change is leading to a drought. In some area, it is leading to the floods. In some area, it is leading to the drought condition. It All these things are just because of the global climate change. And global climate change, greenhouse effect is increasing because of the pollution, and because of the greenhouse effect, there is a global warming, and global warming is leading to the different types of problems. Floods, we can see the floods have been a serious environmental hazard for centuries, and it is caused by the overflowing of the river, and it damages the people and the forest nearby that river. In case of these floods, the main reason is deforestation. The deforestation, it is leading to the floods. Again, drought is the condition, or it is the situation while it means one or two, more than one or two monsoon, if it get failed, it will lead to the drought condition. In most of the region of the world, the rain is very unpredictable, and this leads to the periods when there is a serious scarcity of water to drink even, and use in the farms or to
Hey,
provide
ma'am.
the. Yes.
Ma'am, Kajal got disconnected. She's waiting in the waiting room.
Okay, okay, just a minute. Okay. Okay, someone please take the attendance and send it to me. Okay. CR, you can take the attendance and send it to me. So drought has been a major problem in our country, especially in the arid and semi-arid regions. And it is an unpredictable climatic condition that occurs due to failure of one or more monsoons. If monsoon get failed, there is a condition, that is drought, means the scarcity of water it happens, and it varies in frequency in different parts of the country. Okay, so this is the problem related with the global climate change, that is floods and drought. Now one more thing is the water for agriculture and power generation. We use water for agriculture and power generation. India's increasing demand for water for intensive irrigated agriculture and generating electricity and for the consumption in urban and industrial centers. So urban, with the urbanization and industrialization, there is a huge demand of electricity or the power generation. So for that power generation there is a use of water, and for using the water for power plants there is a construction of dams. So again this is another threat. Dams means, what is the dams? Managing a river system is the best done by leaving its course undisturbed. But what we people are doing, we are destructing or we are disturbing the natural flow of the river by constructing the dams. So if we want to manage a river as a ecosystem, or we want to maintain a sustainable development of that water, or the river, we can say the river, because it is a natural resource, river ecosystem. So if we want to maintain it, we need to keep it as a undisturbed, means its flow should be undisturbed. But by creating the dams and canals, it is leading to the floods in different areas. So this is again one more threat. Today there are more than 45,000 large dams around the world, which play an important role in the communities and economies that harness these water resources for their economic development. Near about 45,000 dams are there, larger dams. So there are different types of problems which are caused by the dams. Very first is the fragmentation and physical transformation of river, because a river get fragmented in different fragments, and physical transformation, जो river का shape है या what is the natural flow, it get changed, there is a transformation in the river flow. Again, impact on riverine ecosystem, whatever the plants and animals they are growing in that river, there is a disturbance in that riverine ecosystem. Again, social consequences of large dam due to the displacement of people. People get displaced because of the construction of dam. Resettlement of the people is needed. Again, waterlogged and salinization of the surrounding lands. Different types of land they get waterlogged. Again, dislodging the animal population, damaging their habitat. Many types of animals they get affected, their habitat means their homes it get damaged because of the construction of dam. Again, there is a disruption of fishing. And one more problem is, nowadays it is detected, recently it is identified, that the emission of greenhouse gases. How the emission of greenhouse gases from the water reservoir? What happens when there is a construction of dam? वहाँ पे पहले से ही प्लांट होते हैं, and when they change the flow of that river, that water get accumulated in a particular area where there is a vegetation, and that vegetation it starts rotting, or because of rotting of that vegetation there is a emission of carbon, and that carbon it leads to the formation of greenhouse gases. So this is again one more problem, means it is again uh, leading to the greenhouse effect. Okay, so all these are the problems or the threats to the water resource. So for this, what is the need? So save water campaigns are essential to make people everywhere aware of the dangers of the water scarcity. Save water campaign. And with this campaign, a number of measures need to be taken for better management of the world's water resources. We need to manage proper distribution of this resource. We need to keep it away from the pollution, and we need to prevent it from the degradation and its different types of harmful effects. Okay, so all these are the things which are associated with the water resources. After water resources, next important resource is a mineral resources. Mineral resources, we know the mineral is naturally occurring substance of definite chemical composition and identifiable properties. Means we know the minerals are coming from the soil and we are using it for different purposes. So minerals, they are present as an ore, means they are present in the combination of different types of compounds. They are not present singly, and which are useful, means different types of metals or different types of elements, they are combinedly present, and that is called as ore. The combination of all the minerals, it is called as ore. And for the absorption of minerals or for the extraction of minerals from that ore, we need a particular process, or there is a procedure which need to be followed. So minerals and their ore need to be extracted from the earth's interior so that they can be used. And this process of extraction of mineral is called as mining. We know that mining, many of us knows the mining, and these mining operations generally progress through the different steps. Means first is the prospecting, means searching of the minerals, the site searching of the minerals. After that, exploration means the size, shape and the economic value, if it is economically sustainable or not. After that, development means the work of preparing access to the deposit so that the minerals can be extracted from it, means if that area is easily accessible or not. And after that, the exploitation means proper mining can be done. So all these are the different procedure that can be followed, or that is generally followed using these mining technologies. Now minerals, there are two types of minerals, that is surface minerals and deep minerals. Surface minerals and deep minerals, coal, metal and non-metalliferous minerals are all mined differently depending upon this above criteria, that is surface or deep. And the method chosen for mining will ultimately depend on how the maximum yield may be obtained by or under all the conditions at the minimum cost. So surface minerals and deep minerals, surface minerals which are present on the earth surface, and deep minerals means for these minerals we need to go to the interior of the earth surface. Okay, so again there are some environmental problems or related with this mining or the mineral resources. Very first is the mine safety. Mine safety means mining is very hazardous occupation. It is a hazardous occupation, and the safety of mine worker is an important environmental consideration, because surface mining is less hazardous because it is not needed to go underground or very deep inside the soil for the surface minerals. But in case of metal mining, it is less hazardous, but the coal mining, it is very much dangerous because it is underground mining. Okay, and in underground mines there is a rock, sometime rock fall or roof fall, and flooding may occur sometimes inside the mine. There is there is inadequate ventilation because of that depth of that mine. So all these are the hazards which are associated with mining. Okay, so this is the first one, mine safety. After that, here we can see the problems related with the mining. Different types of problem starting from the water. Because of mining, there is a water pollution. Again, soil pollution also occurs. There is a deforestation for mining. Soil erosion occurs because of mining. Flora means vegetation or the plants in that area. They also get um, deforestation means flora, changing the flora of that particular plants. Again, fauna means animals, they also get disturbed living in that particular area. Suppose that area is considered as for the mining or selected for the mining, then all these things, flora and fauna, they get disturbed. Again, social environment, the people especially related with the people in the mining, the workers, mining workers, it related with the mining workers. And air also get polluted because of the mining, because during the mining there is exploitation occurs, so that releases different types of harmful gases, dusting. So all this leads to the air pollution. And climate change, globally there is a climate change because of the mining. So these are the problems, environmental problems related with the mining. Here we can see few after, yes, environmental problem, consequences of mining activities. What are the different consequences of mining? Ecological consequences. See, ecologically how it affects: deforestation, loss of flora and fauna that we already discussed here, ecosystem degradation, all these are the ecological aspect. After that, pollution, air pollution, water pollution, soil noise, all the types of pollution. After that, physical consequences, that is land subsidence, underground fires, landscape destruction, and soil erosion. All these are the physical aspects. Occupation, health hazards due to the long term exposure to hazardous chemicals, means the mining workers, they shows different types of health problems. Accidents such as oil spill, it may occur in the mining while extraction of different oils. Again, this is the socio-economic consequences. Socio-economic means there are few positive things related to mining, positive impact and negative impact. Positives, we can see it provides the employment to the people, that mining workers. Infrastructure facilities increases because of mining. And economic gain, it actually it leads to economic growth. But at the same time, it have some negative impact, that is encroachment and evacuation. After that, resettlement of the workers and rehabilitation of that workers is needed. Okay, so all these things are the, all these aspects are related with the consequences of mining activities. What can be the concern of the mining activities? Okay, so this is the third resource, that was the mineral resource. Now moving towards the fourth one, it is the food resources. Food resources today are, food comes almost entirely from the agriculture, animal husbandry and fishing. Those who are vegetarian, their food is coming from agriculture, and those who are non-vegetarian, their food is coming from animal husbandry and fishing. India is self-sufficient in food production, means we are able to produce the food required for our population. But at the same time, we have some cost, we are paying some cost for that, because these modern practices of this intensive agriculture, they are polluting our waterways, polluting the lands with the excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides. So for this, the FAO, that is Food Agriculture Organization, defined the sustainable agriculture, means they said that there is a need of sustainable agriculture. So what is sustainable agriculture? which conserves the land, water, plant and animal genetic resources, does not degrade the environment, and economically viable and socially acceptable. That can be a sustainable agriculture. It should be conserving the land, water, plant and animal genetic resources. It does not degrade the environment, and economically viable and socially acceptable. Only and then only it can be called as a sustainable agriculture. Okay, so there are world food problem. There are different types of problem related to foods are present in the world. In many developing countries where populations are expanding rapidly, the production of food is unable to keep pace with the growing demand. Means in few countries the population is more and the food production is very less and not fulfilling their demands. So food production in 65 of the 105 developing countries is lagging behind their population growth level. Out of 105 countries, 64 countries are lagging behind, means they are not able to produce the food which is required for their population. These countries are unable to produce more food or do not have the financial means to import it. India is one of the country that has been able to produce enough food for its population by cultivating a large proportion of its arable land through irrigation. Okay, so India is able to produce, but before uh, during the 60s or after the independence, India were not able to produce the food. But after the green revolution which started in India in 60s, so after green revolution, India started producing its own food and is capable of fulfilling the demands of food for its population. Okay, again food security. Food security is another point which is related with the food resources. It is estimated that 18 million people worldwide, most of whom are children, die each year due to the starvation or malnutrition. Why it is so? It is just because of the unequal distribution of food, and many others suffer from variety of dietary deficiencies. The earth can only supply a limited amount of food. If the world's carrying capacity to produce food cannot meet the needs of growing population, there can be a conflict between the different countries. Okay, so thus food security is closely linked with the population control through the family welfare program. So we know that in our India, there are different types of food policies. Food security act is there, that BPL people who are below poverty level, they are getting the ration card, and through that card they are getting their uh, grains, or they are getting their food every month. So this we can call as a food security. Means it's our duty, or it's one of the aspect that can be followed to use this food as a resource sustainably. Otherwise there will be unequal distribution or unequal consumption of these food resources. Again, fisheries is an important source of food for many people. This includes both marine water fish and freshwater fish. While the supply of food from the fisheries has increased between 1950 to 1990 in several parts of the world, so it is again one of the alternative for the agriculture, that is fisheries. Loss of genetic diversity, how it is related with the food resources, we'll see. Loss of genetic diversity means, see, there are near about 50,000 edible plants. 50,000 edible plants that is documented worldwide. Means 50,000 plants are edible that we can consume. But out of this 50,000, can you imagine how much we are using? We are using only 15 varieties to produce 90% of world's food. So we are so rich in our biodiversity, but we are using only 15 varieties, and which produces 90% of world's food. So modern agriculture practices have resulted in a serious loss of genetic viability of the crops, and many commercial companies, they are growing particular type of grains or plants. They are promoting only those, and because of that, what is happening, what we are having naturally in our environment, there may be the loss of that genetic diversity. अगर उसको कंजर्व नहीं किया और उसको प्रिजर्व करके आगे नहीं बढ़ाया, तो there will be loss of genetic diversity. We may lose all these 50,000 edible plant species, means loss of genetic diversity. And again to use these food resources sustainably, we need to have an alternate food resource. So alternate food resources means food can be innovatively produced if we break out of current agriculture pattern. This includes working on new avenues, like, see, it includes alternate food resources, means it includes food such as fruits, mushrooms, sap, gums, and different types of forest product that can be used as a food. Means instead of using the traditional food, we can find the alternative sources for the food as a resources. Okay, so this is the food resources and what are the different types of aspects related with the food resources. That is world food problems. We discuss about that. Then food security, fisheries, loss of genetic diversity, and alternate food resources. Now moving towards the next, that is energy resource. After forest, water, then minerals, then food. Now moving towards the energy resources. What is mean by energy? Anyone? What is energy? It's given here. Energy means the capacity to do work. Okay. So what is energy? The scientifically energy can be defined as the capacity to do work. If you have energy, then only you can do your work. So again, energy is found on our planet in variety of forms, and some of which is immediately useful while others require a process or transformation. So the primary source of energy is a sun. Sun is the biggest source of energy. We use it directly for its warmth and through various natural processes that provide us with a food. Means plant use that water, using water and sunlight, they prepare their food. The sun rays power the growth of plants, which forms our food. So many aspects are there. So sun is the biggest source of energy for us. There are two types of energy, as there are two types of resources, that is renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Again, there are two types of energies, that is renewable energy and non-renewable energy sources. So renewable energy sources are so many are there, and first we'll discuss about the non-renewable energy sources. Non-renewable energy sources, you know that the sources which cannot be regenerate, or it takes thousands of years to get regenerate, that is the non-renewable energy sources. So here there are two types of non-renewable energy sources, oil and coal. Oil, we'll see one by one, and coal. Very first is oil. So energy is the chemical energy, or the, just a minute. So energy has always been closely linked to man's economic growth and development, isn't it? So the present strategies for development focused on rapid economic growth have used energy utilization as an index of economic development. Means those countries who can produce the energies, and they are, we can call, relate with the index of economic development. This index, however, does not take into account the adverse long term effect of excessive energy utilization on society or on environment. Although energy production is related with the economic growth, but it is not considering the its effect, adverse long term effect on the society and environment. Okay, so there are three main types of energy, that is non renewable. Generally, actually three are there: renewable and non renewable. Apart from that, there is one type, that is nuclear energy, that we'll discuss separately. But first, the non renewable energy. non To produce electricity from non renewable sources, the material must first be ignited. The fuel is placed in a secured area and set on the fire. So this lead to the production of heat and generation of energy. So we'll see oil and its impact on environment. Okay, India's oil reserve, which are being used at present, is at the off coast of Mumbai and Assam, and most of our natural gas is linked to oil because there is no distribution system. It is just burned off. This means that nearly 40% of available gas is wasted. This process of oil and natural gas drilling, processing, transport, and utilization have serious environmental consequences, such as oil leaks, in which air and water are polluted, and accidental fires. Okay, so oil and its impact on the environment. Now coal and its impact on environment. See, coal is the world's largest single contributor of greenhouse gases. Why coal is the largest contributor to the greenhouse gases? Because it is made up of carbon, and carbon is the main compound of greenhouse gases and is one of the most important